And we're in. Welcome back to another episode from Tailors with Love, the live stream, the only Bond session. Let me introduce my guests real quick. We have Daniel Gaster. How are you doing today, Daniel?
I'm doing very well, thank you, Pete.
Hey, good to see you, pal. Oh, Zed from Tie Another Days up there on the top right. How are we doing today, Zed?
I'm doing very well. Hope you're doing well.
That's great. Hey, I like it when you speak. Your logo throbs.
Yeah,
I know.
That's really nice.
I like
Yeah, I
that.
like it.
I wish I could do that. I wish my head could go.
Yeah, like a Hey logo.
Some may say I've got an inflated opinion of myself, and that's just
Or something else is throbbing, maybe. No, let's not go there. Bottom left, we have Matt Spacer from Bond Suits. How are we doing today, Matt?
Doing okay, Pete. How are you doing?
Yeah, good to see you, pal. Real good as gold. And bottom right, Ken Stoffer from @Oceansographer on Instagram. How are we doing today, Ken?
Doing well, Pete. Good to see you.
Hey, great to have you guys on. Well, you know the drill. We have a good weekly session. We'll talk about Bond brands and what's going on in the world of bonds. And, well, let's start with introducing our surprise guest to the stream. We have Kyle Barbu from Easy Smiles Expensive Portraits. How are we doing today, Kyle?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing, guys?
Yeah. Hey.
Oh.
Great to have you on, my friend. So you just joined. You literally just joined as I was about to do some of the news. But as you're here, Kyle, maybe you can just talk about the weekend that you had, the ultimate Bond wedding weekend, by the looks of things on Instagram.
It certainly was. So I'd like to extend congratulations once again to Mr. and Mrs. Taggart, aka Mr. and Mrs. Bond's apartment. They got married out in Michigan over the weekend, and it was the perfect winter wonderland. So I wish them many years of happiness.
It looked really good. It looked like
It was
everybody.
cold, but it was beautiful.
Yeah, everybody was under the same roof. You had David Zawitsky there. We got Bond watches. So well turned out, right?
And Caleb Daniels from Commando Bond. Yeah, it was. It was a very good turnout.
Oh, and Jason Kim.
And Jason Kim.
Oh, Jason Kim. In fact, I'm going for Commando Bond tonight, by the way, in honor of Caleb.
You're looking
Well, I figured this is
with Caleb right there.
This is the ultimate Christmas jumper, right? Bond Christmas jumper. I was looking online actually for Bond Christmas jumpers, and this is all I found on Amazon for 25 sheets. I don't think it's licensed.
Well, I've seen that before.
If it was, it would be a lot more expensive than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah, guaranteed.
And they only use cashmere for the real Bond stuff.
Yeah. What is this, by the way? Hold on a sec. Let me see.
Is that acrylic like the real Goldfinger jumper?
It's got to be.
No, it's cotton poly.
Cotton poly.
Oh yeah, okay. So a poly blend.
They could have at least used acrylic like the original Slazenger.
I don't think they were thinking that far ahead. No.
Yeah.
Guys, well, listen, also, if you're joining us live, then do drop us a comment and I'll try and bring it in and smash that like button, as the kids say. Smash it. All right. Okay, so let's get on to a couple of news stories. Mason & Sons have done their final release this week, and let's have a quick look at what they're bringing out. We've got some of the ties. Oh, I've deleted one of the slides. Sorry, Dan, I don't know how that happened. But we've got...
Oh, no.
Hold on a
Give
sec.
me a minute.
Hold on a sec. You had it in there. We've got
All
three
right, I'll
ties.
leave
Yeah, we've got 3 ties. Well, actually, we've got way more ties than that. This is just the second slide. But some knitted ties.
These are classics.
Yeah.
Matt, this must do it for you, does it?
Oh, sure. I mean, I have the mid brown. I have a mid brown Anthony Sinclair tie. I'm sure I love my brown tie. I have black and quite a few navy knit ties from other brands, but I really do like the ones that Mason has put out. Not all knitted ties are the same. Textures are different from maker to maker. So, and the ones that they use is a really nice one.
How does that 8 centimeter width compare to Connery's? Is that a little wider, or is that?
I think that's a little wider. I mean 8 centimeters is like what we think of as a narrow tie, but I do think that it's a little wide. It's wider than Connery's. Connery's might be 7.5.
Yeah.
Do we know where the knitted ties? where the
Sorry,
knitted
Dan.
ties were from in Goldfinger, because we're certain that the
No.
grenadine ones are Turnbull and Asser, but for
Yeah.
Goldfinger he went with Frank Foster shirts and knitted ties. So
So
assuming
I
they're
don't know
not
who made
TNA,
them. They could be, but they could have gone into pretty much any shop on German Street
Mm.
and bought some knitted ties. And there were probably even more shops and selling them on German Street back then than there are today.
Mhm.
If only there
Unlikely.
was someone on the call that had a name like Ty another day, that could perhaps offer
Sort of
some
tie
insight,
or-
blow the lid off this thing.
I can't react much more to that. I think from what I saw of Turnbull's latest knitted ties, I think that the width is a little bit more wider from what I could see. But I think Mason's ones I do have, as I said, from the hacking jacket that they released a few years ago, that same mid-brown tie. So yeah, again, as I said, it depends. I don't have any further insight on the manufacturer from the films, but certainly the look is there. Yeah.
I saw the World Is Not Enough the other night, and I can't remember if it was you, Zed, that said that a geometric tie that he wears when he's in the boat on the Thames.
Yeah.
That's the best Bond tie to ever hit the screen. Or am I misquoting you?
It's one of my favorites. I absolutely love that tie. I think it just adds so much pop and color, and actually for as we're going into Christmas, it's got that kind of like red, gold, silver, black. It's like that. It's a really interesting tie. It's a real conversation starter, and I certainly think it's one of the best ties that they've put out there. Certainly for a talking point. I know others may disagree. I'm open to even criticism.
I
Kyle,
like it too. It's
I
certainly
want to
one-
go with team of ties.
It's one of the most unique for sure. I like it too, and it's good for autumn weather.
Matt, do you have a favorite?
Favorite? I mean, for me, you can't beat a navy grenadine tie. I think everyone knows that that's my favorite. But I do have the World's Not Enough, that geometric tie. And when I showed it when I showed that film to Jana last month, she sees that tie come up on screen. She's like, "Oh my, you have that tie! That's like, you cannot forget that tie. That is probably like the Thames tie is one of the most memorable of all the Bond ties."
Yeah,
And
I was
then-
in Turnbull and Asser on 57th Street here a couple of days ago to check out the new shirts they released, and when you walk by that area, that one just catches your eye right away. And then you notice Tomorrow Never Dies one, and you notice the navy and gold World's Not Enough, but the geometric, it just pops right out.
Yeah. 0-11 on the chat says a blander tie wouldn't have worked during the chase.
No, I mean you need it when it gets all wet, and that tie still stands out. I think Lindy Hemming made a fantastic choice with that. She really did well.
Because they needed it to stand out for the little adjustment too.
Yeah.
I love that
Oh, I
moment.
miss those things in Bond today.
You want to bring up those grenadine ties again,
Let's
Pete?
have a look. Yeah, let's have a look at the grenadine ties. 1 second here.
So I do like that.
Here we go.
So they're making them. I mean, they are made to order, so you do have the option. But they made all these samples untipped, like Connery's ties were. At least some of them. There are a few moments in the Connery's early films where you can see that his ties do not have tipping. You can it's a really nice way to also show off the grenadine silk. Now, one place where I think they missed the mark here is that they used the wrong kind of grenadine silk, and I don't know why. They've been doing grenadine ties now for a decade, and they somehow used the wrong type of grenadine this time. I don't know why.
Did you get hold of them?
I haven't asked them about it yet.
Yeah, I think when I was putting these slides together, because you said about the untipping, and I looked through all the options. I put all the options on the slide there. So you've got untipped, tipped, and then 7-fold tipped and 7-fold untipped as well.
Yes,
They're all the options.
Yeah, but it's not. But this is not the correct silk, and they had used the correct silk before.
So
Whenever they had a grenadine tie,
supplier.
it's the same supplier.
Oh, so just
How do we know it's not the right silk? No?
I can see it's the Garza. It's the wrong weave. It's the wrong weave. This is the Garza Fina, whereas Connery always wore the Garza Grossa.
Yeah.
The large gauze versus the small gauze. And
Matt,
yeah.
Sorry to jump in. You've done some consulting though with Masons over some of the releases. Is that right? Have
Yeah.
they kind of posed questions to you before, and then you've come back with feedback before they've released stuff?
Well, usually they don't like show me what they've made before they release it. But we did talk about this. I'm the one who recommended that they do it without the tipping. I guess I didn't talk about the exact type of silk, but I had assumed that since they always had it right before, I didn't think I needed to mention it.
Do you think there's people sending their ties back now saying, sorry, this is just the wrong kind of silk?
It's
the
still a
Trade
beautiful-
Descriptions Act.
It's still a beautiful silk. It's still authentic grenadine from Como, Italy. Yeah. Also, there's the amethyst colored tie, which is not all that close to the Connery one in Diamonds Are Forever. They're trying to go for the tie that Connery wears with this gray flannel suit when he's with M in Diamonds Are Forever.
Uh-huh.
And that one they didn't get right because they don't make that. I don't know if someone could commission Firma Fossati to do that. But Firma Fossati have all these different shades of purple, and none of them are right. You can't blame Mason for that, but it's just
One of them things.
doesn't.
Ken, you wanted to jump in there?
Oh, I'm just curious. The dark navy that they have now, is that closer to the color that Connery wore? Because I know I bought one a few years ago. It's a little more like kind of teal. There's more of a green tint to it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I told them to use the color code 6220, which is the closest to the Connery Navy Grenadine. Connery's was probably not that specific navy, but there used to be another shade of dark navy made a little while ago that is no longer made. But Firma Fossati's color 6220 is probably the closest, and it's my favorite of all my grenadines because I have a lot of the more teal Firma Fossati navy grenadines, and those are difficult to wear. But I can't say which one this is because I haven't seen it in person.
Uh-huh. Zed, I kind of forget you're there sometimes because you're just a logo and I can't see any. I wonder if you want to chime in on this before we move on to the other bits.
Yeah, so likewise, looking at, again, echo the comments that Matt said about Amethyst tie, because I was definitely looking forward to. It's very difficult to find that shade, even both from Turnbull and Ass or anyone else on the street to kind of get that kind of that shade, because it is very much a shade or color of that style and that time. So it would have been nice to seen that. But again, probably make the chance to go and visit Masons and see them in person. I think sometimes when you see them on website, there may be some color correction and so forth. So try and see what it's like.
I have seen that specific swatch. I have the swatch somewhere here at home, and it's not that close.
Okay.
Still a beautiful tie.
Oh, it is. No, you can't complain about the tie. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the ties.
I keep wanting to say the pink one though. They have brought the Diamonds Are Forever pink one in, which is one of the most maligned ties I'd say of the series for its length.
Yeah.
But they've done it here, and I wonder if it's kind of produced to a length that is supposed to be short on the belly.
Well, as they're all made to order, so you can
Yes.
choose the shorter one if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go.
You can get it in the widest width, which is not as wide as Connery's was, but I think on you, Pete, it would actually look wider because you don't have a 46-inch chest.
That is true. Thanks for highlighting that and telling us.
I don't think any of us do.
I am working out there. I mean, that's you wouldn't know.
Just a question on that pink tie. It looks like it's forgive me. It's more of a satin, isn't it? Than looks more satin silk than. From what I recall, Diamonds Are Forever was a bit more of a matte finish. Is that correct? Or
It's a little shiny in Diamonds Are Forever. It's I think it's like I think in diamonds it is a satin, but it's maybe not the shiniest of satins.
Gotcha.
I think that's what it is. And I guess they went for a black rep tie, right? Dan, is that a black rep tie that they've done
It's
here?
just it's the same as the pink one. It's just a
Oh, it is.
It's
It's a satin?
Yeah, it's just satin. 'Cause
Okay.
I was thinking it's supposed to be like the alternative black tie that he wears with the grey suit, isn't it? Which was the reap tie. But
You're right. It says that it has a diagonal rib in the description. I think it's a very fine rep. I don't know. I'm looking at the close-up pictures.
All right.
They say twill, but it's not a twill. Well, actually, unless it's a very, and you know what? It's actually a steep twill.
Right.
I think that's what it is. I think it's a steep twill. So it's not satin. But of course, they can't like copy what Turnbull had made back in the 70s. I have the Diamonds Are Forever rib tie from the 70s, and it's quite a
The
unique
actual
silk.
one?
Not the one used in the film, but the same
Wow.
exact
That's how you
tie
kept
from
that to
Turnbull. I have the same exact tie from Turnbull and Nasser. I have it in navy and I have it in black.
Good.
But
Let's
I've never
move on
worn
from-
it because it's wide. It's just this wide.
Okay. Well, let's move on from ties, shall we? We've got a couple of other releases. Let's shoot through these real quick because we can't dedicate entire. Although I was going to say we can't dedicate entire episodes to Mason and Sons, but some weeks a bit of a slow news week, and this being the last release of Mason and Sons for the 60th anniversary, their 60 pieces. I'm going to miss them. They're not going to be doing anything next week. Anywho, a couple of trousers. So if you're after some mid-grey flannel trousers, they've released some from the 007's choice of doeskin blazers that he wore in Dr. No, and with the blazer in Thunderball. So 650 sheets, reasonable.
I would have gone with the dark gray flannel that they also have used for those. But
For those, have you got it?
because they've done a mid gray and they've done a dark gray. I think that these trousers would have been might have been the dark gray that they've also made suits from. They've made a suit out of mid gray woolen flannel and one out of the dark gray woolen flannel. I would probably go with the dark gray for the blazer trousers.
Yeah.
But you can.
The blazer.
Sorry, Carl. Say again.
Do you think there would be enough contrast with the blazer? Maybe that's why they went a little bit lighter.
Well, there might not be enough contrast, but Connery didn't have a lot of contrast, and that image there, was really boosted up to show off. That's not how it's darker. It looks darker on screen.
The other pair of trousers that we're going to have a look at, dark grey plain weave for the You Only Live Twice scenes. And
these ones are spot on.
495 sheets, so a bit more accessible. Worsted by Holland & Sherry. Dan, what do you make of these?
Yeah, I quite like them. I think, when we're thinking about all the options, obviously there was only 2 suits in You Only Live Twice. So there were a few trouser options. I think there was a brown pair of trousers as well that were used for the Little Nelly scene, which weren't recreated though in this capsule. But it's a nice choice.
Hey, Bud West is in the room in the comments. Bond Brain. I do love that name. I wish I thought of that first.
Just like the man himself.
Just like the man himself. Thinking actually of all the podcasts about Bond, the one that I did think of that I wish I did was the Quantum of History one that Donnie does. Because I just think that's such a great idea, and he does it so well. Taking a slice of anything out of the Bond, a kind of theme or a part of history or a war, and then just going really into the weeds and explaining to everyone and using Bond as a context, because that is, you can just keep on going with that. Anywho, so yeah, of all the podcasts I wish I started, that was the one. Let's get through the midnight blue dinner suit trousers. Oh yes, when choosing formal evening wear, Connery's Bond favorite midnight blue rather than black. All this in Dr. No and Midnight Blue velvet jacket during his final performance in Diamonds Are Forever. So are these trousers modeled on that same pair for both films?
Yeah, I think no. Well, these would probably be the flat front ones, and the same as the ones that he wears with the ivory dinner jacket earlier in the film. Now, I would have. So it looks like they chose the 7.5 ounce version. There's a 9.5 ounce version that my dinner suit is made of, and I would highly recommend that one instead of the 7.5.
Right.
I think the 7.5 is too lightweight. Even in the summer, you don't need it to be that light. The 9.5 ounce mohair is fine in the summer, but especially if you're pairing it with a velvet jacket, I think 7.5 ounce trousers are much too light to pair with a heavy velvet jacket. So I would recommend the 9.5 ounce version, which I think is 75% wool and 25% mohair.
Ken, you wanted to jump in there?
No, 7.5 is just very light. That's all I was going to say. Yeah. See that?
So I used the 7.5 ounce for my ivory dinner jacket, and I think it's actually too lightweight.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine, I guess, it's when it's hot in the summertime if I'm wearing it then, but they didn't have Holland Cherry don't have that in a heavier weight, so that's why I have the 7.5 ounce.
Gotcha.
Hey, Matt, did Mason and Sons? Oh, by the way, Goss Drent, I should say, in the comments saying hi, how everyone's doing. I think Goss has got his own YouTube channel up and running now. Goss, if you want to give that a shout out in the comments, I'll read it out. Did they have a look at the ivory dinner jacket and say it wasn't for them, or was there a piece that they looked at and thought?
No, that was the black. That was the black dinner jacket from Diamonds Are Forever. The ivory one, I think, is just too similar to the Goldfinger jacket.
Right.
Just basically, the difference is the pockets, the lapels are a little wider, and it has double vents.
Was it this one?
That was the one that we just saw. You're going to be pulling in that clip up all the time now, aren't you, Pete?
My favorite 2 seconds of any film, not just Bond film, any film.
Well, he took one off the shelf between his legs.
Yes, bomb surprise. Finally, then we'll get off trousers. We've got the black dinner suit trousers for 650 sheets. These are the ones worn by Sean Connery as 007 in the Ecru peak lapel dinner jacket from Goldfinger. So these are the trousers that he pairs in the pre-title sequences. Now, what's the blend going on here? Dan, I think you've put the slide together.
Yeah, so off their product details, they've said it's a 9.5 ounce, 75% mohair, worsted wool, 25% mohair by Holland and Sherry again. This was an interesting one because it didn't flag up on the site until it sort of didn't come up at all until it actually flagged up on the shop app, which they use for their merchant. It flagged up on there as a new release, but not on Mason. So I had to actually do some digging for that one. But it is on there because they did release the white dinner jacket some time ago as a separate item, but never with any trousers. So I think this, and like the velvet jacket, that was one of their early releases as well. So they're just sort of getting all the last little bits on the site to make up the 60 items. Nice.
A better weight for you, Matt?
Yeah, so that's the same weight that my dinner suit is, the 9.5 ounces. So I have my dinner suit's made of the same exact cloth, and I think that is a superior weight for any circumstances, even in the summertime. There's because the mohair really helps the cloth breathe well. It doesn't need to be ultra lightweight to be good in the summer.
Do you think? I mean, with an ivory dinner jacket, I think traditionally you always think of black trousers to go with it, but would navy suffice?
I mean, like a dark midnight blue would be perfectly fine, because midnight blue is supposed to look like black anyway. So that's really, there's no difference.
You've got the option of which one you want.
Exactly. Because the ones in Diamonds Are Forever look look like they're midnight blue and not black. They don't look, like a perfect black. So I think Connery did it in that film.
Matt, can I just read out a question we got from
Yeah.
Scott? He asks, I don't know if you're doing questions. We sure are, but I'm going to buy my first dinner jacket soon, but I'm still not sure if I've got to go with shawl collar or peak lapels. What is more modern, do you think? Classic shawl or peak lapels? Hey, Zed, I'm going to throw that to you and then maybe chip it in with Kyle after.
So my preference would be shawl. Also depends on, I'd say, your stature and height, because sometimes if you're a short stature, peak lapel can actually make you look smaller. So I go with classic because I think it's one of those timeless pieces that you want to use again and again. And I think there's nothing wrong with a classic midnight navy blue shawl collar tux.
What do you think, Kyle?
I think the event would also play into it a little bit because the peak lapels are just a little bit more formal than the shawl collar, but both of them are perfectly acceptable for 99% of black tie events.
Hey, Kyle, do you know what's not acceptable? Is you not bringing your microphone into work and me asking you spontaneously if you want to jump on the live stream.
True.
Okay.
Next time.
Next time. Sorry, I'm being a dick. Ken, any follow-up thoughts for those?
Oh, no, I think either way, you can't go wrong. I personally prefer the peak lapel a little bit. I feel just that, a wider peak lapel gives this great V shape to the chest, kind of broadens the shoulders, it points out toward them. But either way, you can't go wrong.
Dan,
Just a notch, that's all.
No, yeah. Well, Dan, you had a Mason & Sons wedding suit made.
I did, but it wasn't an evening suit. But I went with a one based on the Spectre Rome suit, and I had a wider peak lapel on it, just because it is something different to what I'd normally get in a suit. Because I would normally just have a sort of medium notch lapel, but for an evening suit, a tux, I've actually gone for a shawl lapel. I have had a peak lapel previously, but I kind of just have gone with the shawl because it is different to most other things that you get in a suit.
Gentleman Rated says, go all out. Why not get a double-breasted shawl collar, Ralph Lauren purple label? What do you think?
So, so that double-breasted shawl collar is something that you see M wearing in Goldfinger that night at that dinner scene. So I actually had one. I had a double-breasted shawl. At one time, I had a double-breasted shawl collar dinner suit from Polo Ralph Lauren. It wasn't the purple label, but it was Polo. And I gave that one to my father, and he wears that one now.
Oh, that's sweet. Hey, how about we just talk about the Tom Ford buyout real quick, as we're nearing about half hour in, and we haven't talked about the thumbnail for the YouTube show. Well, so he got bought out for, well, he sold the company for £2.8 billion. I just wanted to read real quick something from the New York Times. Sold to Estee Lauder, by the way. Other beauty companies like Clarins and Procter & Gamble have in the past acquired fashion businesses such as Mugler and Roches to leverage their fragrances, but struggled with the challenges of the apparel industry. Estee Lauder, however, will license Tom Ford's fashion to a third party. Zegna, the Italian group, Marcolian, which has held the license for Tom Ford eyewear since 2005. By the way, I'm not going to read all that because I just realised it's going to take ages. But Zegna, well, interesting that he's now decided to sell off because I believe around about 2015 or 16, he said he would never do it because he wouldn't want to pass a Tom Ford store, have a look in and go, oh, bloody hell, what they done with my name and my label? Hey, maybe Kyle, did you have any thoughts on this? And also, did you know that Zegna had a hand in the license with menswear?
I knew that Zegna had been making Tom Ford suits at their factories. They're not Zegna suits. They're a step up from the Zegna suits, but they're using their factories to make Tom Ford suits. My initial reaction when I heard it was Estee Lauder was, well, that's more jobs to my local area because their headquarters are about 5 miles from my office. But I'm a little bit nervous with what is going to happen to the men's line. Are they going to lose some of that iconic Tom Ford, Savile Row, Edward Sexton inspired look that they've had for so long under Ford's leadership?
Zed, what do you think? Do you think they might be at risk of losing their look and their aesthetic?
It's difficult. I mean, in essence, I used this analogy like in Germany, you've got the Volkswagen plant, which only makes the Polo in the same factory as the Skoda, as the Seat Beef as well. These are all different labels, but all different cars with different kind of audiences. So Xenia always they've manufacturing the Tom Ford suits and the Tom Ford fabrics themselves. I think what's going to happen is probably the status quo in the sense like the Tom Ford fabrics, which are exclusive to Tom Ford, will remain such, and the designs themselves. You know, we've got the Windsor cut, we've got all the O'Connor and other ones. I don't think there's going to be much change in that. However, going forward, you know, as fashion evolves, would they just stick to a principal core like that, or would they start bringing new designers to come and put in, you know, their own mark on it? I mean, it's interesting because you know, like Tom Ford did that in Gucci and Yves Saint Laurent, then created his own label. Are we going to see somebody come in to be then the creative designer to do that? Yeah,
we definitely will. You can't just you can't buy a brand and not do something new with it. I think they're going to be doing something new. I don't know if they're going to hold on to any of the old designs. I would hope they would. I mean, like the Windsor is a timeless look. It's inspired, you know, going back by the Tommy Nutter, Edward Sexton suits from the late '60s, and Tom Ford has been doing that look for over 20 years. He did that look at Gucci.
Yep.
You know, so it's not. Yeah, I mean, that's such an iconic Tom Ford look. The others, those can all come and go. Like the O'Connor's been around now for a decade, but that one will probably eventually have its day, just as the Regency is no longer around. But you know, it's like when to have new designs that aren't like from the man Tom Ford. You know, are they going to hire someone who they think can continue Tom Ford's vision? Or are they I think they're more likely to hire someone who has their own vision, because that's usually what high-end brands do. They don't hire someone to continue someone else's legacy. They want to just use the name and create their own new thing with it. That's more typical.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ken, go.
Yeah, I kind of foresee this happening. I think that the core Tom Ford line that we have now, where the suits started around 4,000 US, I don't think that will change much because it has such an ingrained fan base and it's aspirational. But I think they might kind of do a lower line where suits start at like 1,500 or something, kind of like how there's Giorgio Armani Black Label. Those are all made in Italy, but then there's Armani Collezione and there's Emporio Armani. That would be my guess, because the brand has such cachet, but they want to sell more units. That's kind of what I would think.
Yeah,
Tom Ford Light.
They could have like a diffusion line, call it like Ford Fiesta.
Yeah. Or Tommy Ford. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tommy Ford.
By the way, why
Thomas Ford.
Why he's selling now? Like, if you look at his life, what's happened to him? Like a year ago, his husband passed. He's raising a 10-year-old son on his own now. So I kind of see why the shift happened for him personally to sell the brand. But that said, if you read the trades, he's going to get $1.1 billion out of this. So
yeah, he's just fine.
Do anything, I guess.
He's not
going to retire. He's going to do something else.
Well,
Maybe he'll
something
focus
else.
more on films.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
direct
I was
more
going to
films.
say that. It didn't say anything about the buyout of his film company. So I think, you know, especially like his early career, he really wanted to be an actor, and that was kind of his first thing until someone said, you're going bald. And then he goes, fuck, I've got to go back and do something else. We've all been there. But he's probably thinking now, I've got to, you know, find something to do. And A Single Man was great. I really enjoyed it. I mean, Nocturnal Animals was kind of hit or miss, but I think if he wants to really throw himself at something or find projects, as they say,
He can take more baths.
He can't. It's physically impossible to take more baths.
You can get up to 10 baths a day.
Yeah, 10 baths a day.
Oh, you look at him. He obviously looks great, but he's 61 already. You know, he's got another, 20, 30 years of filmmaking ahead of him, but he is 61. It's hard to reckon. But
yeah, Yeah, he's
Not watching it.
looking good for 61.
Yeah, for sure.
He can do a lot of. Yeah, right. My mind's going elsewhere. Gents, well, I think we've been on the line for over half an hour now, and thanks to everyone that has dropped comments. I haven't had a chance to read them all out, but more importantly, thanks to you guys for taking time out and shooting the Bond breeze. Dan Gaster, what we got going on in your life? Where's your Instagram where people can find you?
Well, quite easy. It's at Daniel Gaster. Not really got much going on right now.
Did you ever think of having like a Bond title?
I never came up. No, I never came up with. I never came up with anything imaginative. So just use my name.
Answers in the comments.
It's easy to remember.
Yeah. Well, Kyle, I can always remember yours. Easy Smiles and Expensive Voyages because I think it's a kick-ass name. I know our man David Zawitsky always likes to do it backwards, but I think it's great.
I think that's part of the fun.
It is. It is. I know he likes to cheap watch and expensive smiles or whatever he likes to wrangle. Matt at Bond Suits, what's going on with you at the moment, Matt?
Published a new article this week about my approach to my blog and about how I balance the suit aspect with the Bond aspect. So that's something that comes up a lot.
Yeah.
I still think of my blog as a clothing blog rather than a James Bond blog.
Yeah.
That was something that I think that distinction is important to make, and something that want to hear other people's thoughts on that too.
Cool. And the Bond Brain is asking who's coming to Gaverill. I think that's a stateside thing.
I'll be there.
Yep. Oh, cool. Oh, that'd be great. Oh, wait a minute. I've just got jealous pangs or FUMO, whatever they call it.
FOMO.
Yeah, I've got Bond FUMO. There's nothing worse than Bond FUMO as well. You got Jonathan Pinfield has just asked, will anyone be going to the Amiga 60 Years of Bond celebration event in London tomorrow? I haven't been invited. They've got a new release coming out this Thursday. Anyone else got the golden ticket?
No.
Said, you've got to watch the latest film. Surely they put something in the post for you, no?
I wish. I really do wish. I will be in London tomorrow, so I may just pop by, see if once the Razzmatazz is gone. But yeah, we'll see.
I bought an Omega about 21 years ago.
Nice. I wish I could.
They should have invited me.
I always feel left out of those Amiga shots where everyone gets together and put their wrists together like Power Rangers. I can't do that with my mundane.
With the last Gatherall, when Lorenzo posted that, I was just like, I hope there are no jewel thieves in the area.
Yeah.
That's why we bring along Caleb. He's the bodyguard.
Oh God, that's a great idea. I bet he does come armed as well. I mean,
I doubt he goes anywhere unarmed.
I told you my great Caleb story, right?
I don't think so.
Is this one for the live stream?
It's okay. It's fine. It's not really a story. I was talking to him on Zoom because I said, look, I need some technical help because I know he's really good with tech, and I think he was getting quite bored on the call because it was something very basic, like how do I update my Dropbox folder or something. Anyway, as I'm trying to explain something, he's moved away from the computer and he's like starting to clean his gun and like load and like prep it and like put it in the holster. And I'm like, dude, what's going on? Where are you going? He goes, oh, just out. I was like, you fucking took a gun just out? He goes, oh yeah. Because, when it all kicks off, you don't want to be the dog in the corner without any teeth. Fucking love that about you, Caleb. Really do. I wish you went out with me all the time.
Well, I'll tell you why he does that, because just this past weekend, he had an Uber pick him up in Detroit, and the Uber driver pulled into a gas station to do a drug deal in the middle of the day with Caleb in the back of the car as a passenger.
Oh, wow.
That's probably why Caleb goes around armed.
Fucking hell.
Yeah,
That's Detroit for you.
Wait, is that the best or the worst thing to have if you're a drug dealer? Is Caleb in the back seat because he's either going to back you up or he's going to blow your brains out in the fucking dashboard?
Did he have to take the gun out? Did he have to whip out the gun for that?
I don't think he pulled it out, but he definitely locked and loaded and ready to go.
I'd love that.
Wow.
Yeah. feel like we're spilling a lot of beans about Caleb, but he's a stand-up member of the community.
He's a good guy. We like
Yeah,
him.
he sure is. Ken, at Oceansographer, I know what you got coming out on Friday. It's another interview.
Oh, do we have
Yeah.
the last piece of the Mirajnik interview? Aaron?
That's right. Yeah, we've been doing some interviews with Ellen Mirojnik, costume designer for all the films you love. Face Off, Cliffhanger, Cocktail, all the films I love anyway. And she's going to be on for the part 3 of that interview with Ken. So catch that over on the podcast. And Zed from Tie Another Day.
Yeah.
What do we got? Have we got any teasers for the Sunday best?
Don't know. We'll see. We'll see if tomorrow. See if we can get some shots of the Amiga. If not, I'm going to try something interesting with the all of our brown linen suits. So I've been going through all the cream suits. And I've got this really interesting light brown shirt. So I'm going to try and recreate the Moonraker Rio suit. So watch this space.
Ooh.
It's either this week or the week after.
Dig it. I forgot to give the final plug to Wild and Heart, the razor company that we're giving away a £150 razor on the newsletter for the newsletter subscribers from tailorsoflove.co.uk. That's all you've got to do is sign up there. We'll do the draw at the end of the month and you'll be in with a chance of winning one of these bad boys. They're beautiful. I've got one myself. Anywho, gents, that is it from me. And until next time, let me hit the end button.